Hello, everybody. It's Bill's that college football guy here with another video. Well. A little conference realignment. I was going to put this in the end of the week two recap show, but there's a lot to get into here. Talking about as the Pac-12 officially on life support, and it pretty much is. I think everybody knows that at this point. And is UConn going to be forced to put their football in a G5? What are you talking about? Okay, number one, the lead in here. It is no secret that Oregon State and Washington State are making phone calls to the Big 12 and the ACC to find out if they're interested. Big 12 being their primary one because of just being the fact that the ACC is not that stable, and the Big 12, even though it's making it be less, it's a hell of a lot more stable and be a stable future. Plus, a lot of their former schools are there, so it'll be kind of geographically a little bit easier. I mean, you have very few schools east, so it'll be good for them. Both schools are looking for that, and that's their primary option, trying to find a future with a power school. But the problem is, I went and I've talked to a lot of people I've known. I've talked to a lot of people about Oregon State. This is Oregon State. Okay, fine. Big 12 and the ACC, right? Say they say no. What's your plan B? Well, they won't say no. How dumb are you? Do you understand the fact that they're going to say no? Most likely. 99 times out of 100, they're going to say no. A lot of Oregon State fans, Washington State fans are going to hate hearing that. Here's why. Look, the lawsuit, the ACC lawsuits, looks like they may be going to court because they keep stalling this crap out as long as possible for as much money as possible, legal fees and everything else, try to draw as much money out as they can. And now the fact that the House NIL settlement, it appears it may be going to court. So we're talking 2026, 2027, possibly, worst case scenario, until that lawsuit gets settled. Now we're looking at a whole different can of worms here. And now the fact is like, they're not going to add anybody in unless you turn a profit. The thing about the Big 12 presidents made, and I think the ACC presidents are on the same footing, is that we know how much per year we're going to make. If you don't come in, that's not going to either keep us at that level or raise us above it. We don't want anything to do with you. And that's their situation here. Now, I've talked to others, like, they don't believe the fact. They don't, honestly do not believe there is no way in the world that they will not get an invite. Because they're too good. They have to get one. I sense a little Pac-12 entitlement here. It's getting eerie, doesn't it? We deserve this and we're going to get this. No, genius, you're not. That's Oregon State. They are very loud and very vocal. Their athletic director was on, oh my goodness, on Wilner's, I forgot their podcast that they have. But the two wise men up north. Basically, the AD from Oregon State says, we are a power program. Question. Has anybody heard word one from Washington State? Because I haven't heard Pete. That's why I had to start reaching out. What's they're doing here? And I'm going like, well, everything is on here. And I've talked to a lot of them. Sources I've had, and I've had people who, not knowing it, were repeating the exact same thing that I was being told. So I'm like, okay. Washington State right now is in a very heavy financial crunch right now. Going to the ACC is a non-starter for them. So it's either the Big 12 or something else. Now, they say, oh, they're going to rebuild the Pac-12. When has the Pac-12 rebuild talk started up? Because it hasn't. Because I got news for you. It's not. You have not heard one word about this. Oregon State says we're a power program and the Pac-12 is not a power conference, so they're not going to go there. I mean, I've talked to plenty of them on there that said the fact that if they could not get in the Big 12, they'd rather be an independent and work it that way than go into a conference. They want to keep their options open until the ACC decision is made, then make a decision. But they'd rather stay an independent. I don't know if Washington State can afford to do that. Oregon State's got financial problems. Washington State's got a lot of financial problems. So what are they going to do here? I mean, the thing is, like, if you look at Oregon State and Washington State's schedule, their games they booked, I mean, Oregon State's already booked 6 games for next season. Washington State's booked 5. Now, the fact is, everybody's saying like a lot of it's West Coast based. I mean, Washington State has a game against Virginia. That was booked a while back. But their other 4 games they have booked are Idaho, San Diego State, North Texas, and Washington, the Apple Cup. That game is going to be having every year. That's it. The Oregon State-Washington State game has not been booked yet. And that was very, very, very smart on their part. Because why book the game? You can plug that in at any date. It doesn't matter. We'll put it on the schedule. And that has no value. Keep the schedule options open. Now, scheduling options open. We know the fact that the Mountain West Conference scheduling agreement is gone. Because Oregon State already has 6 games booked. With Washington State, it makes 7. They can't do that. And what I've been hearing is the fact that is it possible that Lorena Navarez wanted to know fact, are we doing a merger here? We want to know what's going on. And they're not prepared, we're not prepared to answer that. And they didn't want to do 6 games anymore. I don't know if that was just Oregon State, but both of them united. They didn't want to do 6 games anymore. So that's why the scheduling alliance broke up. And the fact is, Mountain West, from what I've been hearing, and I'm sure I'm going to hear some other people on other YouTube channels. JY from the Big Mountain is going to be doing a show on there, and there's going to be a bunch of people everywhere from all sorts. I got too many channels to name who are going to bring up their thoughts about this. But Mountain West was hoping to get Oregon State and Washington State in the conference. That's not going to happen. They're hoping in the worst case, maybe they could absorb, everybody gets absorbed into the Pac-12. That looks like it's not going to happen. The Pac-12 is on life support. It will be alive until August 1st, or is it, I don't know, it's August 1st, July 1st. I think it's August 1st, 2026, and then it's done. The conference will no longer exist. It's on life support for now. They're just going to pull the plug then. But you heard I brought up Washington State's schedule: Idaho, San Diego State, North Texas, Virginia, and Washington. Oregon State, like on the Virginia game, Washington State's all their games doesn't go any further east than Texas. Cal said we're a nationwide conference. We're going to go everywhere to get competition. Really. Oregon State, your schedule is Cal, Fresno State, Texas Tech, Oregon, Houston, and Portland State. You're not going any further than Texas either. So, no ACC opponents. Washington State's doing an ACC opponent. Oregon State's doing an ACC opponent and a Big 12 opponent. They're trying to book as many of them as they possibly can to draw entrants from both conferences, which it makes sense to try to do that. But here's a nutshell. Let's get this down here. Oregon State says they're still power school, and they will not go to a G5. Washington State has said nothing. You can call me crazy on this. But I honestly believe that what we've been told, the fact, like, nope, the Big 12 and the Big 12 is not going to make any moves till 2031, which is why UConn got pushed back, and I'll get into UConn at the end after this gets done. But they're not going to add anybody until 2031. And what did, and I'm blanking on his name, the Washington State president, Kirk Schulz, said, was that he wanted, when he stepped down, he wanted his replacement to have a firm footing, to have a stable foundation for their team for the next 5+ years. Specifically with 5. Oregon State never said that. Because everything, Oregon State and Washington State are a package deal. They're a package deal for this year and next year. Past that, they're completely separate. I honestly believe, and this is my take for Washington State, and any Washington State fans out there, as I know I have one, what I've been hearing is simply is this: if they can't get into the Big 12 and if they get in the ACC, they do it if they had to, get into the ACC, they would join the Mountain West for 5 years. They would join the conference for 5 years, and then 2031, look for a move. They want to keep it geographically close. The Washington State was very vocal about being geography. I've heard a lot of people saying geography is extremely important to Washington State and their athletes. And I've heard people all over the place I've talked to on there said the same thing everywhere. It's like the same thing. Geography is important. Oregon State, not as much. Their schedule bears it out. But they'd rather be in the Big 12. And their thing is Big 12, and some of them rather be independent to go to the ACC. I'm like, really, you're going to turn the ACC paycheck down? But there may not be a paycheck, so that's like kind of reason why they look that way. Oregon State, if they don't get what they want, and they don't get an invite, you could see Oregon State as an independent and Washington State in the Mountain West. I didn't have that on my realignment bingo card. Didn't have it. But that's actually what could potentially happen, folks. I mean, we could be looking at, if they don't get their invite, Oregon State goes independent until they figure out what's going on. Olympic sports go in the West Coast Conference, and I don't know if Washington State would be football only, or would they bring everything into the West Coast, into the Mountain West. I don't know. Football, definitely. But it's a possibility. Now, there's also a possibility being floated out there that, for both schools, that an invite, well, I can't say an invite, backdoor third-party booster donor conversations have happened. You know how this goes, okay? We're talking about Oregon State and Washington State keeping their Olympic sports in the West Coast Conference and they being football-only members of the American. Now, the question is $4.9 million enough for them to do that? Because that's how much they'll get. Because Army and Navy are both football-only members, and they get 70% of the media deal as football-only members. Oregon State and Washington State will get the same bite of the apple. $7 million a year, $4.9 million. It's actually a little bit less, about $4.9 million a year. And you'd have to possibly pay to keep your schools in the West Coast Conference, or I think the Washington State's theory is, if we go in, the Mountain West is going to be getting a pay raise because of what they've done in the tournament before anything even happens. Washington State's a different story. Now, Mountain West, what are they going to do? Washington State coming, the fact is that I was hoping, and I heard it from some people I know, and there's other people hopefully that can confirm this or not confirm it, is that since this is a non-starter, they're moving forward with expansion. Top two targets are Montana and Montana State. But the fact is, they may be put on the back burner, or they may go the other way around. Because the one target they want to get into Texas. Now, if Washington State and Oregon State had joined the Mountain West, or the vice versa, the guys in the Pac-12, whatever, all one conference, there would have been enough money there to convince UTSA and North Texas to leave the American and come in. But they can't get them. So now, if you want to go in there, who would you go after? If you want to get Texas, you go after UTEP and Texas State. Do you go after Stephen F? I don't know if I do that. Texas State, there are actually some fans of Texas State who believe the fact they should not go to anybody else and they should wait for a Big 12 invite because it's coming. And he thought the delusion was only to the Pac-12 schools. Yeah. I wish I was making it up. I've heard it not once, not twice, but about half a dozen times. The same story. Texas State's going to go to the Big 12. I'm like, in what, softball? Maybe it's me, but I just don't see that happening. But if they don't go that way, how are they going to go? I mean, the fact is, like, they could get UTEP in yesterday. Because Conference USA doesn't pay enough money. And UTEP, ironically, would fit the Mountain West name because even though UTEP is in Texas, it's in the Mountain Time Zone. Where they grabbed New Mexico State, now that they're actually starting to do something. But I think Montana and Montana State be on the list. Sacramento State's also consideration as well. So they're basically looking about moving forward. And if Washington State becomes part of the package and they're going to come in, they're going to probably, instead of doing Montana and Montana State, they'll probably grab one school unless they want to go full tilt to 16 right off the jump and grab UTEP, Montana, and Montana State with Washington State, make a 16-team G5. I don't know about that, but there's a potential to do that. As for something's grabbing his potato chips. Okay, but yeah, I mean, the Mountain West is going to be moving forward with expansion. So what I've been hearing, anybody have anything else besides that? But that's all I've been hearing is they've been moving forward. They're going to move forward with expansion. Oregon State and Washington State, that angle is dead for them as a package. The Oregon State Washington. That's what I heard. The Oregon State Washington State package is dead. That was the one thing I just remembered. I was like, what was I forgetting? I'm saying to myself, I'm talking to you. What I'm forgetting about, I realized that's what was said. The Oregon State, the Pac-12 package is dead. Like, package? It says, yeah, both of them are dead. But one might still be in play. And like Oregon State's vocal, Washington State's very, 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 very quiet. And we'll see how this goes. It's going to be crazy. Now, UConn. Oh boy. Where do I start? Okay, UConn did not get an invite. Because, and the fact is, we want all of our sports to go together because they deserve to be together. Hey. I'm going to screw up the phone here. Hey, stupid. You hear me? Hey, you. UConn, you. Slap nuts. Come here. Come here. Come in closer. Can you hear me? You're not getting into the Big 12 until 2031 at the earliest, if you get in at all. Look. Gonzaga's not getting in until 2031 at the earliest. I said that earlier. UConn's not part of the same boat. Now you want to have your football in? Your football team sucks. It's a dumpster fire. You don't have an on-campus stadium, and you're leasing it. Now you're never going to get an on-campus stadium because of it. Now they said we don't want to spend the money on an off-campus one. You tell me the donors won't do it? No, because UConn football isn't proving to be worth it right now. Do you want to get better? Talk to Jim Mora and ramp things up. I don't care what it is you got to do. The only way, and I can think this, is that they would even remotely football be considered this year, unless they can pull it around. Between now and 2030, you're going to have to average 8 or 9 wins a year. Which, the way you play, you might win 9 games total in that period. That's how bad you are. But you're going to have to average 8 or 9 wins a season for like 5 to 6 years to prove the fact you're actually a winning program. Because it's going to take that much. But right now, you're not getting it. And the problem is, UConn has spent so much money investing in their program, in the football program. They don't want to shut it down. They don't want to drop it to FCS. But we need to make money because independence is killing us. You're not getting Big 12, but they have to. Shut up, stupid. Shut up. You're not getting in right now. It's 2031 until you're going to have to wait. So you need to figure out something between now and then. So my thing is, maybe they'll go to a G5. You know, it's not, we want to keep everything together. Do you want to make money or not? Because you're not going to make money as an independent, and you're not going to go in together. And ACC is looking to save money, not, their football program is a loss leader. Everybody's going to have to pay out of their pockets to put you up. That's not going to work. So right now you have to prove you actually win. And that's not going to happen right now, I don't think. But you could prove me wrong. You could prove me wrong. But hear me out. They'd have to go to a G5. It's the only way they're going to make money. Now, the 2 highest paying, they go in there, they're not going to the Mountain West too damn far, and they just left the American. The American will not take them back unless everything, including basketball, comes in, and they're not doing that. So now we're down to 3. Odds 1 be the Sun Belt. They make the most money, $2 million a year. Okay, you've got the Sun Belt in there. You've got Old Dominion, you got Marshall in the area. That'd be okay, maybe. But I don't see the Sun Belt doing it. I don't see it. It doesn't make any sense for them. Conference USA. Well, they're making $800,000 a year. Not great money, but it's money. And they have Delaware nearby, and they have some schools. But you got to go all the way to Texas. You got to go all the way to New Mexico. Travel is going to be on there as an issue. Now, here's the one where I think, save them for last, because they're the ones I think have the best shot. And that's the MAC. Hear me out. Every university except for one, UMass, is around the Great Lakes. UMass is right next to you. So you're travel partners. You only have 13 schools. The 14th spot was left open for a reason, and Western Kentucky has had the brakes pushed on them. We're not going to load you. We're not going to bring you into the conference right now. You're not coming in. We're waiting a little bit on something. Waiting on something? Okay. UConn comes, they're going to the Sun Belt, they're not making it. Travel doesn't work, and they're not going to get paid the money for it because they're not worth it. Would they make money in the MAC and in Conference USA? Actually, yeah, they would. They'd be, for that lower money, yeah, they're that value, so that would work. Conference USA, the travel's too far. The MAC, seems to me, it makes the most sense. You've got localized travel. It's only around the Great Lakes plus UMass, so everything is right there. Travel costs are reduced. You stay in the area where you want to be. It doesn't, it's to me, I think that may be the best option. If you don't get into the Big 12 and the ACC, which you're not, the Mountain West is not going to take you. The American's not taking you unless you bring basketball. The Sun Belt's not taking you because you're too damn far and you're not worth $2 million a year right now. But less than $1 million a year, around $1 million a year, Conference USA and the MAC, you're worth that. That's at least some money. Now, do you want your games on TV? Do you want to get that press? The MAC has to deal with ESPN, MACtion, for those middle of the week games that the sports bettors love. When we get later on in the college football season, that's a big time moneymaker for the sports books. They love it. Now you can throw UConn into there. You're going to have an isolated, standalone window to broadcast your program to help things out. Is that the best decision? Is that the way to do this? I don't see any other option. Either they're going to stay independent and lose money, or at least make some money. Now they can do Conference USA, and you got to face Liberty. But there's a lot tougher competition in the MAC, and to prove the fact the travel's less, competition's tougher, it's going to prove the fact whether you can do this or not. And I honestly think they should do this between now and 2031, because if they can't keep up, Jim Mora probably will be leaving by then, and then it's going to be a choice. Either disband the program altogether, or pull a Villanova and drop the football program to FCS, so that way, better competition that way, or whatever, or keep it independent. But unless you start winning, you are not getting both together. Just let that go. It's not happening. But that's the best option I could think of was the MAC, because geographically it fits. You get media exposure because of the MAC, ESPN's deal with the MAC. You have a travel partner with UMass. It checks all the boxes. It's not as much money as you'd like, but you're not that good of a program, so take it or leave it, because that's the best you're going to get. It's the MAC or Conference USA, and I think the MAC's a better fit. But I've talked long enough. Why don't you let me know what your thoughts about this is down in the comments. So thanks everybody for watching the video. If you haven't done it already, do me the favor. Smash the like button. Hit the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. Helps the video be seen by more people. Comment on the video. We're counting the days till the Pac-12 dies, aren't we? It's on live support. We're just waiting the turn to pull the plug. I mean, I just don't see the Pac-12 reforming. Am I right about that? Am I right about what I think about Oregon State, Washington State? UConn. We know they're not getting the Big 12. Or it doesn't seem like they may not get in the ACC. My idea for UConn football. Do you think this is plausible? Why don't you let me know down in the comments? Now, share the video if you want to. And if you haven't done it already, do me a favor. Check out some other videos I got. And if you like it, hey, subscribe to the channel. On the way to 700 subscribers, slowly but surely on the way up to 1,000. If you want to follow me on Twitter, on X, it gets to be some fun. Game days is fun. When UNLV and Utah Tech was fun on there. Watching, I didn't want to comment on Notre Dame and Northern Illinois because I didn't want to jinx it. Yeah, that was some fun stuff. So follow me on Twitter, on X. The link's in the description. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope everybody's having a great day. Because by the time you hear this, I'm going to be probably getting out of some rather rough signal down south. It's just what it's going to be. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day, and please be good to each other.